Let this sink in for a moment. The lack of financial education cost Americans $450 billion in 2021. 78% of American homeowners are living paycheck to paycheck. And right now, most American homeowners are equity rich and cash poor. That's another word for broke. The media isn't helping you, schools aren't helping you, and the government for sure isn't going to save you. As a top 1% mortgage professional and seasoned investor, I cannot sit around and watch these life-changing skills that I've learned outside of traditional schooling be unused, untaught, and thrown in the trash can. So until these statistics change, I'll be here every single week, preaching and teaching personal and professional finance, information that you can use in your life, however that looks, whether you are 16 or 60. Hey friends, welcome back to another Happy Homeowner Podcast. I have a really special guest here today. I designed this podcast for people like Celine to come in and help me selfishly, and then it turned into more of a passion project. So I've got about 3,000 clients that I've got to help over the last 18 years, and then currently on board a lot of new clients. And so today's episode, along with all of our Happy Homeowner Podcast episodes, are designed to empower new home buyers coming into the market and also educate, encourage, and inspire my current homeowners that are sitting on their dream homes or on their real estate and keep them abreast of what's going on with the market. So I have the perfect guest for all of my clients and anyone who wants to listen in today, Celine Williams with, now get this, we're going to be talking about Marysville, one of the top real estate firms in Marysville, Realty One Group, Orca. And she actually has her own team, her own group, Summit Home Group. Celine Williams, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Dan.
Oh my gosh. Today is going to be fun. I love that we're getting to talk about Marysville.
I love Marysville.
So I love Marysville too, because Marysville is where I was raised and where I went to high school. But what I love about you is that you sell a ton of real estate, but you sell real estate in the Marysville and surrounding areas, but you're involved in the community. You live in the community, involved in the community. So no one better to talk about Marysville. And a lot of my real estate professional guests that I have come on board, I ask them to pick a community that they sell a lot of homes in, but a community that they're passionate about, because that will come out in our interview today. So we're going to learn a lot about Marysville. You're going to learn some market stats. You're going to learn from me what it takes financially to live in Marysville. And then Celine's going to wrap up with some insider tips for sellers and buyers in today's market, some common mistakes that she's seeing being made by buyers and sellers. And so we're going to have a really fun 20 minutes here or so with Celine. So as far as your journey in real estate, I'm always curious how our paths cross. So like, how did you get into real estate and why?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate I've had my license for 7 years, but okay. I've been in real estate this is my 4th year.
Okay.
And as a little girl, me and my family, we'd always go out and look at homes, just kind of dream together. But I didn't get into real estate right away. I was in operations management for a lot of different companies. So startups, Boeing, University of Washington, and then COVID happened. And once COVID happened, it was kind of the assess my life. What am I really doing?
Yeah.
I was working from home, which is not ideal for me at all. I like being around people. I'm such a people person and being a connector. So I got into real estate, got aligned with Todd Fallman at Realty One Group Orca, and just kind of took off. I sold 25 homes my first year, and now I'm helping. I think I've helped 130 clients buy, sell, invest, and I love it so much.
You're on a roll, and you do an amazing job. You take such great care of your clients. So you got into real estate, you've got an operational background, which if you think about it, whether you're working with a buyer or whether you're working with a seller, or if you're listening and you're a buyer or a seller, you understand the importance of operations. There are so many. In fact, I tell people when I'm meeting with new clients from a financing standpoint, there's up to 27 different hands in the pot through a real estate transaction. And so who's managing that, who's orchestrating that, who's introducing you to those different 27 pros, right, is really important. And you having an operations background, it's no shock that you've had the success that you've had so far and continue to have. So specific to Marysville, you picked Marysville. I always like to teach my clients, because there's so much on the internet, like what is a buyer's market? What is a seller's market? What the heck does it even mean? I mean, most real estate agents and lenders don't even really know what it means. So let's talk about statistically what a buyer's market or a seller's market is, and then what does Marysville find itself in right now? And then what does that actually mean to someone?
So typically a buyer's market, seller's market, it's all about supply and demand, right? So if there is more inventory on the homes, meaning more homes on the market and not a lot of buyers, then of course there's going to be a little bit of a bias there. So if there's more homes and less buyers, then it's going to be a little bit more of a buyer's market and vice versa. So right now we're at a balanced market, especially in Marysville. We have about 2.2 months of inventory. Typically a balanced market is anywhere from 3 to 6 months of inventory. So we're about to be balanced. But what I'm seeing, especially in Marysville, is that there are not a lot of buyers, a lot of homes sitting on the market. So listings are sitting a little bit longer. Days on market, it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And home prices are coming down. It's kind of crazy to see that. And it's so helpful for buyers right now because I got in when it was like, waive everything. Interest rates were so low, everybody can afford everything. But with interest rates around 6.57%, which I'm sure you've seen, it's harder for buyers to get in there. And so now sellers are offering credits to buy down interest rate or pay for your closing costs. So it's really a buyer's market right now. So I think people should take advantage of that. And if you're a seller right now, you need to make sure that your pricing, your preparation, and your presentation is on point.
Yeah, that's really big. The market right now, I'm grinning while you're talking because I'm 10 plus years of watching. I love first-time home buyers. I work a lot with first-time home buyers and just watching them just get beat up and have to put in multiple offers on multiple homes because of the competitive nature of the market, the lack of inventory, or too much cash in the market, right? Just getting beat out. And so oftentimes, you know, I'm hearing people complain about this market and I'm like, this is a beautiful market. It's an opportunity for buyers that buyers haven't seen in a long time. And so part of having conversations with pros like this is you'll read the media. The media will say one thing. Oh my gosh, lowest home sales in history, or, you know, we haven't seen a market like this since 2016. Okay. I was in the market in 2016, and 2016 was not a bad market. It was a fine market. It was a market that was actually very consistent before, you know, COVID happened and rates dropped. So this is a great market. Now, statistically speaking too, because we're going to get into some really great stats. I see your paperwork here and your preparation. I love it. Remember, when we're looking at stats, friends, we're taking today's metrics and comparing them to what we have in the past, in the last 1 year. So if you were to look at last year's numbers and compare them to the year before, it's different. And so we're in a different market now. The other thing I will tell you, we're recording this the week of the Fed meeting. The Fed's going to come out and they're going to address whether they raise or lower the Fed rate. Now, mortgage rates are going to indirectly move with that. There's a 96% consensus that the Fed's not going to do anything. They're going to keep the Fed rate the same. But there's a very, very good likelihood that rates are going to drop in September. So Celine's a pro. I'm a pro. The advice that we give today is based off of the data in the market and then what we know professionally, what is going to happen. And so if we know there's a good chance of rates coming down in the future, today's numbers, we're comparing them to year over year numbers. There's a really good opportunity in the future. This is a really good opportunity, like I said earlier, too, for buyers. So let's start talking. You mentioned a minute ago days on market. I really like the DOM, the days on market statistic, for a lot of reasons, but let's talk about that first. Marysville days on market today versus a year ago.
Yeah, so days on market compared to last year, this year was 29 days on market and last year was 14 days on market. So that's almost 2 weeks long. And here's the thing, if your home is on the market longer, it's okay. That's normal, right? So it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your house. However, if you're not having any showings, that's another thing that I start to gather. If we're out even for a week or two and nobody has come to see the home, there's a good chance that we priced it way too high.
We have a pricing issue, right?
100%.
Cool. So I was going to say that, you know, that if you're a homeowner right now and you're listening and there's a thought in the back of your mind that you might list or your neighbors have listed and you've kind of seen this, if there's if you've listed your home and there's no activity, it's one thing. If you've listed your home and there's no showings, that's another. And it always is 99% of the time, it's a direct correlation between price.
Correct.
Cool. Okay. So days on market year over year. So let's stay on days on market. If you're a buyer right now and a home in Marysville has been on the market for, let's just say 45 days, talk to us about what that might mean.
Then probably the same thing. It probably is a pricing issue, but if we've had a number of showings coming, I'd like to always ask the agents, what was your buyer's feedback? So then I can figure out, well, is it a presentation issue? Is it a preparation thing? Maybe we need to start repairing some things.
Right.
Or maybe it's that we didn't declutter enough, right? So days on market is just a really good way to gauge what we have done right or what we have done wrong when putting the home on the market.
Okay. So relative to Marysville, and even more statistics that we're going to talk about here in a minute, but relative to Marysville and the national real estate stats that we're seeing, are you seeing a direct correlation there? Or are you seeing, no, Marysville's doing a little bit better, a little worse compared to national stats?
I think nationally we're about the same, to be quite honest. I think homes are just sitting on the market a lot longer than they used to in 2021. So it's just making sure that you're working with someone who knows what they're doing and just making sure that you're listening to your agent.
Yes. Like she said, listen to your real estate, whether you're a buyer or a seller, listen to your agent. And then here's the other thing. I will say this. I say this to clients all the time. Listen to your agent. If you're not willing to listen to your agent, that means you don't trust them. That means you should fire them. I'm sorry. I'm just saying that.
No, it's true.
And, you know,
we're there to be their professional expertise. They're professional experts. So, you know, we are in it day after day after day. We're seeing the changes. And I'm a type of person who is looking at the stats. I never used to be a stats person, but I'm starting to realize how important it is. And just keeping an eye on where are buyers at, where are sellers at, where are listings at, right? And just take advantage of those opportunities. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you in your situation. So that's kind of how I look at it.
I love that. Okay. So we're looking at stats today versus a year ago. Days on market, about double from a year ago. Okay. Went from 14 days to 28 days. No need to panic. There's this thing called recency bias. We have seen homes fly off the market for the last 10 years.
Right.
And we're used to list the home, multiple offers within a week or 3 days. And that's just not the case anymore. This doesn't mean it's an unhealthy market by any means. So just understand the facts and understand the data. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you might be able to see that, but I think it's people who price it ridiculously low because it's kind of a wild, wild west situation. So I've seen that where it's like, no way that house is worth 500,000. And next thing I know, it's like 550, 600. So it's just making sure that you price it at that perfect spot. Pricing.
Okay. So the next stat that I like is list price to sales price. So let's talk about what that means currently, list price to sales price, and then what it was a year ago.
Yeah. So if you look at a lot of homes right now, price reductions are so common. I've seen probably anywhere from 96 to 98% less than list price. A lot of sellers, they have unrealistic expectations. I think it's because of that 2020, 2021, multiple offers, escalations and whatnot. So pricing correctly, it's not that big of a deal. Price reductions are fine. I understand feeling like you left money on the table, but you're really doing yourself a disservice because of the fact that you're lowering your exposure to the buyer pool. And if you've seen, a lot of people do the 549, right? Because that way they can capture the audience of 500 to 550 versus just 550 and on. So just making sure that you're looking at all of those things to boost your exposure to potential buyers.
Yeah, really, really, really smart. Okay. So then list price to sales price year over year. You want to jump into that? I think...
I don't have those stats.
Okay. So list price to sales price year over year, you guys, I think you were mentioning earlier, probably down right around 4%. I will follow up in the description with the actual stats, because what we're seeing around the board right now is we're seeing a little bit of a drop, not a drastic drop. Like we're seeing like a 2 to 4% drop year over year. So not bad there. As far as like, let's talk about like moving to Marysville, living in Marysville, like median sales price. Let's talk about that real. What can someone expect? Hey, I like the area. It's near I-5. It's near, Highway 9. It's not that big of a commute. The light rail is going to be coming through in the near future through Everett. What's a median sales price right now versus a year ago?
Yeah, so the median sales price in Marysville right now is $688,000.
Okay.
Where last year it was $635,000. So that's an increase of about 8%. Mm-hmm. So even though interest rates are higher, even though buyer demand is less, even though there's more houses on the market, it's still going up in value, which is why I always say real estate is still a good investment. Yeah. It is a long-term game though, right? So you don't want to just sell it right away.
Right.
But give it at least 3 years. That's kind of the mark that I always tell people. 3, 5, 7 years, you're probably going to get some equity out of it.
That's a great point. And the other thing I want to note, the previous topic we were talking on is list price to sales price. List price to sales price is a relevant data point, but just because list price to sales price isn't going up, it's going down, doesn't mean home values are going down. You just proved that.
No, not at all. I mean, I think if anything, they're stabilizing a little bit, right? Because in 2021, what did it go up like 13 to 18% so quickly? Yeah. And so now I think it's just balancing down. But even so, if you bought your home in 2020, chances are you've made quite a bit in equity since then, just 5 years later.
And it's important to know median versus average. So be careful if you're going on ChatGPT or you're going on Google to do a search. Median I like because it kind of gives you that true middle, right? Average is kind of, Marysville, you could go up on the hill or either hill and buy over $1 million home. You could buy downtown a condo for $280, right? So, and then we're going to average all those together. So I like median because it kind of just picks right in the middle.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a really good one. Okay, overall market thoughts on Marysville, and then we're going to transition to some really great questions for buyers and sellers.
Yeah, well, first of all, Marysville is huge. So, I mean, it goes all the way to Soper Hill, all the way up to Smoky Point. So there's a lot of different things going on. There's new construction like crazy, and that's in East Sunnyside, and that's kind of my sweet spot. I do a lot there, a lot of new construction, a lot of older homes that are getting remodeled and whatnot. People also love the school district of Lake Stevens. So that's kind of like a hot spot.
Right.
There's so many great things to do in Marysville though. So I always recommend it just because I live here. I love it. There's a lot of opportunities for there's Salvation Army for Marysville. There's a lot of the Marysville Greater Chamber. There's just a lot to do for families and for single people. It's a great place to live.
Yeah, you've got the downtown, and then you're right across I-5. You've got the Tulalip Casino, Resort,
shopping,
the malls.
And also we're really close to all the hiking. So I do a lot of hiking in the area, and we're like 30 minutes away from some of the best spots. So it's good for outdoors people, good for people who like to go out to eat. It's just a lovely place to live.
So some of your favorite places in Marysville, restaurants, stores, where do you see yourself? If I came to Marysville, where could we see Celine every once in a while?
We'd probably go to the Tulalip Casino.
Okay.
They're actually really great restaurants at the Tulalip Casino. So it's a very common place for me and my husband to go on date nights. So there's Blackfish, which is a really good one. And there's Journey East. And then we'll go play on the slot machines. Another good spot if you like tacos or Mexican is La Teresa. And that's right next to my firm, Realty One Group Orca. There's also a fun place called Volley. So you can do pickleball. That's kind of the hot new thing around here. So indoor pickleball, they have shuffleboard, they have pool tables. It's a lot of good places to go to. And of course, don't miss Coconut Kenny's. That's like the best place for pizza.
Coconut Kenny's, huh?
They have one in Lake Stevens too, but the one in Marysville is just as good.
I have to try it.
Coconut Kenny's, yes.
Yeah, I got dragged over to the casino a couple months ago to play bingo. I was like, oh my gosh. And I did. And it was actually kind of fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was like, am I going to be hanging out with a bunch of grandmas?
100%. No, it's actually a lot of young people. They have like fun bingo too. They have like dark light, or what's it called? Black light and like neon. They get really
glow
crazy out there.
Stoppers. Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay, so this is really why I love to have pros like you on this podcast. If someone's thinking about selling their home right now in Marysville, for example, let's say they're 6 months out. what are some things they should be considering, thinking about maybe doing around the house if they were going to sell in the next 6 months?
Yeah. So the things I pretty much stay consistent, kind of like you said, with systems and processes, right? So the number one thing is walking around your home and just seeing all the things that are major things that you need to address. Right. Things like siding, roofing. I'd actually say go a step further and get an inspector to come out.
Go. Boom.
Get an inspector to come out, tell you everything that might be wrong with your home so you can start remediating some of those major issues. Right. That way it doesn't come up as a surprise once you're under contract. Right. Second thing is decluttering and deep cleaning. Yep. Get everything out as much as possible. Okay. Get a storage unit. So Snohomish Storage Center down in Snohomish is fantastic. Okay. They'll take care of you. And then I say, go ahead and start depersonalizing, and let's get staging in there, and let's just make it something that a buyer can easily envision themselves living in.
Right. Yeah. So I want to go back to the first thing that you said. So many homeowners, call it pride of home ownership, maybe ignorance. They're like, my home is fine. Okay, and then they don't listen to their real estate agent, and then they list it, and then the buyer, they get an offer, and a buyer gets a home inspection. They come back with this laundry list of negotiations, and it's like I've got 2 older kids. It's like you as a parent going to a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher going, you have a great kid, but all of these things that he or she is doing wrong, right? Or could improve upon.
Yeah.
So I love that advice. If you're thinking about selling a home, listen, whoever buys your home is going to get a home inspection 100%. If they're working with a good real estate agent. Get it now.
I talk all my buyers into getting a home inspection, even if it's just a peace of mind situation, right? Most cases we can negotiate things. Yeah. But if anything, you should know what you're about to sign up for.
There you go. And then if you're listing your house, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You
Correct.
Don't know that, you got some siding that's been exposed.
The biggest thing is crawl spaces and attics, right? Because nobody goes in there unless they hear like rumblings, like a rat or something.
Yeah.
But I've seen like horrible things. Even new construction, we did an inspection. Don't skip it on new construction, guys, because things still happen in new construction. We found mold in the attic. So making sure that you're remedying those major issues before you put it on the market.
That's really big. Sellers, listen up to that. So really 3 great ones. So we're going to talk about getting a home inspection, declutter and clean. And then the third was just neutralizing the home, right? Kind of taking down, it's hard to say this, but taking down some depersonalized.
Yeah, especially if you're a 49ers fan, like don't have your 49ers stuff up there.
Not in Seattle.
But yeah, I mean, even painting or new floors and fresh paint does so much for a house.
A little refresh.
And just even if you don't stage, if you work with me, I typically include staging in my compensation. And it just makes the home, it really highlights the amazing things of the home and kind of hides the not so amazing things of the home.
There you go. First impressions. That's it. Okay. If you're a buyer, let's change gears. If you're a buyer thinking about buying in the next 6 months, what are some things you should be doing now to prepare and be paying attention to?
Talk to a lender. Find out all your numbers now, because even if your numbers look good now, there are always ways to make it better.
Right.
And so I feel like if you talk to a mortgage professional, you can look at all your numbers. Maybe you had a medical bill that you didn't remember about it, or maybe you had something in collections that you totally forgot about, right? This gives you time to figure out. Because I, on the other hand, have a lot of people come to me when they already have the house that they want in mind.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, that's too late. Even in a market where we're sitting, because here's the thing, Dan, I get a lot of people who qualify for $500,000, but then they see the house for $500,000 that they love. Then they realize they don't like the mortgage payment on $500,000. And that can change with interest rates. That can change with seller credits to buy down the interest rate. But the best thing you can do if you're buying in 6 months is talk to a lender, talk to a real estate broker, set up a strategy.
That's it. Strategy session, know your numbers, know your budget, and know the statistics to see if there's ways of easing that financial burden of that payment. Now, as a mortgage professional here in a minute, I'm going to give you some information on what it takes to buy in Marysville, but this is kind of how I tee up every meeting with a new client. It's all about their budget, not what I'm willing to lend them. It's all about them first, and then we solve the pre-approval for that. So that's super important. All right. Biggest mistakes you're seeing sellers make in today's market?
Not preparing their home.
Okay.
Pricing too high. I have had so many experiences where, unfortunately, I had a situation where they were relocating to another state. So it was out of their control, right? They bought the house 2 years ago. The home was listed for $450,000. They ended up buying it for $500,000. And now they're trying to sell it. They put some money into it and they try to list it for $540,000. I told them that's probably not going to happen, but at the end of the day, I work for them. So I'm going to do what they want me to do and try to pivot and try to, course correct. But that really hurt them. And now we're at 114 days over market. And now our best offer as of now was $505,000 with a $16,000 seller credit. And that hurts them. That hurts their bottom dollar. And that's never my goal.
Right.
My goal is always to get them more money or at least have the process be smooth. So do not overprice in this market and don't not prepare your home. And getting an inspection and pricing your home correctly is probably the best thing that you can do as a seller right now.
Yeah, you guys, the market's changed. The market is not the same market that it was, 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. And so it's important to listen to your real estate broker, professionals like Celine, when it comes to pricing, when it comes to advice for preparation. That's why I ask every guest on this podcast, what's your best advice to sellers? What should sellers be doing? What are the biggest mistakes? Because if you go back and watch the last 20 Happy Homeowner Podcast episodes, you're going to see consistent, and these are not staged. I don't know. I just give you the questions and we show up and we talk about the answers. The answers are almost always the same. Same thing. So listen to these pros. You'll be better as a result. Okay.
Absolutely.
Biggest mistakes you're seeing buyers make.
Not getting their pre-approval before falling in love with a home.
Okay.
I get a lot of people on Zillow or Redfin looking at homes and they have no idea what their price point is. And so it's really disappointing to me as a buyer's agent to show these homes that are beautiful and they really want them and they check all the boxes, but then they're not pre-approved yet because they have the mentality of, well, I want to find the house before I get completely looked at financially, right? Because I understand it's invasive. It can feel like a lot trying to get this document. But at the end of the day, the first thing that you should do is really get pre-approved with a lender, find out what your numbers are, then look for the house. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm saying.
That's important. That's the first step, right? Don't get emotionally attached and then you make an emotional decision and then the emotional roller coaster.
And things, honestly, unfortunately, I try to prevent them from happening, but things do fall out of contract for whatever reason, right? So also try not to get so emotionally attached until you have the keys in your hand.
That's true. That's true. All right, so let me bring this full circle. You listen to Celine, you like this podcast, hey, I'm encouraged by Marysville. I might want to live in Marysville. So what does it take financially to buy a home in Marysville? So that's a big question that I get from people that are relocating here from all over the country, whether it's Marysville or another city. How I answer that question is in one of the questions that I asked you. What is the median price point in Marysville? I think you mentioned it's about $680 right now. Okay. So what I've done, the average down payment in Snohomish County in 2024 was 7%. This is across the board. These are people that are buying their third or fourth or fifth home. So you got a bunch of people putting 20% down, and you got first time home buyers that might even be putting zero down, right? Okay. And we have a lot of veteran, active duty and veteran clients too that buy in Marysville as well. So I'm going to use 7% down, $680,000. Your mortgage payment, I'm going to factor in average property taxes, average homeowner's insurance, average PMI for that price point. There's some assumptions, you guys. So this is not a quote. This is just an example. And I'm going to assume you have about $500 a month in debt, car loan, credit card, whatever. So I'm going to reverse engineer what it takes to live in Marysville, Washington is a total household income of about $11,000 a month. If you factor that out over a year, it's approximately $140,000 of household income annually. Now, this is for a $680,000 priced home. So what I want to encourage you, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I might be looking maybe higher than that or maybe a little bit lower than that, this podcast is a no obligation podcast. It's mainly for your information. But if you'd like more information, if you've connected with Celine and you like what she's saying, reach out to us. And based off of, without pulling your credit or anything, based off of kind of your needs, your desire, your budget, we can reverse engineer these numbers for you and explain what this might look like for you. But in general, you're going to need about $140,000 a year total household income to buy a median priced home in Marysville.
Okay.
About fair? Is that kind of what you're seeing?
Fair. I think that's kind of what we see, especially with homes having dual incomes these days, right? So that's kind of common. And there are just so many programs to help people too, like the down payment assistance programs and whatnot. So I think a lot of people don't know about this though. And so I'm glad that you have this podcast to just educate people their options.
It's really hard to not be able to help someone in this market. There's so many resources. Now, there's not crazy exotic mortgages like there were in 2006 that caused the crash, but there's a lot of programs like you just mentioned, down payment assistance. We have credit restoration programs where we can help improve your credit. So there's always a way if there's enough income, and that's the big thing. So let's wrap with this. Any final thoughts on Marysville?
Final thoughts. It's the best place to live. Come meet with me. Let's talk about, I personally love all of Snohomish County, but Marysville has my heart because it is home for me. The school districts are great. The activities are great food, groceries, everything is like so close. So reach out. Let's talk Marysville. Let's talk Snohomish County. It's a really great place to live.
Yeah, it is. And I can double down on that because I am from Marysville. I'm a Tommy, Marysville Pilchuck High School. So Celine, thank you so much for joining us today. I know this was valuable. If you have any questions, reach out to us and we'll see you again on another episode of the Happy Homeowner Podcast. Bye for now.
Thanks.